What's up guys? Today I hope you all are ready to have a whole world of fun because today we are at Worlds of Fun. Alright, let's get into the park and let's get on some rides. Alright, so I just did Patriot for the first time. It has a very similar layout to Talon at Dorney Park. I will say though, it had a bit of a rattle to it. Nowhere near as smooth as Talon at Dorney Park, but I think that's only because the train was less than a quarter filled. And I sat towards the middle and I don't know, just had a bit of a rattle to it, but still overall a pretty fun ride. And these B&M inverts are just always a lot of fun, I guess. Alright, let's go to the next ride, whatever that may be. Onward. Alright, just did Timberwolf for the first time. It was okay, I guess. I did second to back row. The very back row was closed off because of social distancing. I mean, it was a pretty fun ride. You got some decent pops of airtime. A little bit on the rough side. Not that bad though. But I will say that this ride has a perfect layout for an RMC conversion. Cedar Fair.
What are you doing with your life?
Give this park some love. Give them an RMC. This is a perfect candidate. Alright, so this did Mamba for the first time, and it was fun, but I rode the back row, at least as far back as I could go. Did the very back row cut off. I gotta say I was not too impressed by this ride. I didn't get all that much airtime in the back row, only going down the first hill and then the camelback. All the little airtime hills at the second half of the ride, I got, no joke, no airtime. I stayed in my seat the entire time. I'll give it another ride towards the front later today, but they're doing a cycle where they sanitize and they run the trains empty, so I'll come back later today and give it another ride. Hello, Mamba. Alright, I think I only got one more credit left to do here, which will be Prowler, so let's head that way. Okay, Boomer. Hang. Hey, they have a Flying Falcons here, but alas, it's not open today. Or at least at the moment, it's not open. If it does open later today, I would definitely give this a ride because Hershey Park used to have one of these, and it's still rumored that Flying Falcons will be returning to Hershey, but hopefully it will, because looks like I'm not getting a ride in this one today. Hang on a second. Does this park allow pets? I did not know that. Interesting. Meow. Alright, so this did Prowler twice. I'm going to do it a few more times, but they're doing a sanitation round right now. I gotta say, this is probably the best ride in the park. This is a lot of fun. There's a lot of good pops of airtime on this ride. Pretty smooth overall, and just a very fun layout. I really enjoyed this ride. It really surprised me too. I was not expecting Prowler to be my favorite ride in the park, but here we are. So I'm gonna get back in line and ride it a few more times, and I want to try doing front row. I did back row and like middle row first 2 times. Back row is definitely a lot better, but let's see how front row compares.
15 minutes later.
So yeah, I just did Prowler 3 more times. I got 2 rides in the front row. This is definitely a front row coaster. Front row, you get some pretty awesome pops of airtime on the ride. So yeah, this is definitely my favorite coaster at Worlds of Fun by far. And I also got to do a ride with one of the ride-ups too. So I've actually never done an Enterprise before, so you know what? Why not? Let's go for it. Alright, so that was the very first time I've ever done an Enterprise. That was pretty fun actually. I actually found it pretty relaxing. I thought it was going to be a little bit more forceful than what it actually was, but I'm going to try doing them more often whenever I see them. So, glad I did that. I want the Falcons. Let me in. So I actually just had a park employee tell me that Boomerang needs some extensive repairs done with it. So money's been put forward to it, but they just have to get the repairs done. So, good to know that. Alright, so I just did Mamba 2 more times, 1 towards the middle, then 1 in the very front row. I still stick to what I said earlier, it's a fun ride, but I'm just mildly disappointed in it. There's just very little airtime on it. It's definitely more of a front row coaster, you get more floater airtime on the first half. The second half of the ride is ruined by the mid-course brake run. It slows the ride down way too much, and you get no airtime at all after the mid-course brake run. Also, another thing about Mamba, it has a pretty significant rattle to it, and at the bottom of the first hill, there's a pretty bad pothole. And you guys know that I judge pretty lightly on rides. I always look for the positive aspects on every ride and try to minimize the negative on it. But this ride, I think there's a few more negatives to this ride than positives, but just to reassure the positives on it, it's still a very fun ride. Steel Force at Dorney Park, just a bit better. All right, time for my last credit of the day, Spinning Dragons. So just did Spinning Dragons. I did it once. I got a Zen ride on that as well. Overall, it was a lot of fun. And I didn't know that Gerstlauer made this one. I think this is my first Gerstlauer spinning coaster. So one more check off the list.
Love is like a roller coaster, but I'm trying to hold on. I don't want it to stop. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Don't just walk away from me and close the door. Baby, pull me closer now before it's over. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Oh.
Alright, so I got a few more rides on Patriot. I did back row twice and front row once. And I even got a Zen ride on the front row, which is pretty fun. But still, no matter where I sat though, there was still a pretty significant rattle to this ride in every single row. I would say this is the best steel coaster at this park.
Don't know how to cope with being so broken.
So I just did Mamba 1 more time in the back row. I mean, I will say back row is definitely the best on this ride, but I was this close to having an evac. We got stopped probably about 3/4 of the way up the hill, and we were stuck up there for probably 10 minutes or so. And they had 2 ride attendants come up the hill, and here comes. But yeah, 2 ambassadors, as they call everybody here, ambassadors. They had to come climb up the hill just to make sure that we're okay, and they said that we were going to try to restart it, and they ended up restarting it, and we were able to ride the ride. I was really kind of hoping that we would get an evac, because I've never had an evac before, but oh well, I was this close, but one of these days. But hey, maybe me not getting an evacuation is Mamba's revenge of me being a little bit too critical on it earlier today. So, Mamba, I apologize. Alright, just did Timberwolf one more time as my final ride of the day, and I gotta say, this ride really grew on me. I've ridden it once in the front row, I just did it in the back row again as my last ride, and I did it back row earlier today too. Alright, park exit montage.
Come back tomorrow. You know it's not enough that I can make you laugh. It's too late, too late, too late, too late. You'd have to rebuild me from the ground up, from the ground up.
Alright guys, well that's going to wrap up my day at Worlds of Fun, and I would say I had a whole lot of fun. By far the best coaster here was Prowler, and that really surprised me. I was just not expecting yet another wooden coaster to be the best coaster in the park for me, but Prowler is such a great ride. I think it's pretty underrated, and people should be giving it more praise than what it gets. Alright guys, I wrapped the video up here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next loop. See you guys.
Come back tomorrow. You know I might admit I wanted you to stay.